What's up, guys? M. Jones back in the house again for a in-theater review of the movie The Heat with my special guest, Mason.
Hello.
She'll be talking with me about the movie tonight. We saw the movie The Heat starring Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. It was directed by Paul Feig, or Feige, I don't know how to say his last name. Kind of a new director, not a young director, but a newer director in Hollywood. He directs a lot of TV shows, a lot of my favorites like Arrested Development, and did Parks and Rec. And he also directed the movie Bridesmaids back in like 2011. And now he directs this one. So I thought he was a really good director for both of these movies. And anyway, Sandra Bullock, Melissa McCarthy, two awesome actors together. Two very real people. You know, I feel like they're the kind of people that don't have to act too much. I think they just get the script and just can kind of go with it and improv. Like, they're very fun. They're very fun people. Some other people to mention, like Marlon Wayans was in it from the Wayans Brothers. Michael Rappaport from kind of more 90s movies. He was really good in it. And Jane Curtin was in it from old Saturday Night Live episodes. We're actually going to talk. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the some of the other characters I liked in this movie. But first, I want Mason to kind of give us a plot.
Okay, so the movie starts out with Sandra Bullock. I don't remember her name in the movie.
I think her name was.
Okay, that's all right.
I forget. I don't remember her name. We just saw it.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
But it starts out with her as like a really straight edge cop.
Sarah Ashburn.
Sarah. Yeah.
Ashburn.
Okay, yeah, I should have known that. It starts out as her as a really straight edge cop. She's like by the manual, you know. She's like yelling at people about like, didn't you read the manual? You should know this.
Very by the book.
Yeah, very by the book. And I guess she's not a cop. She's an FBI agent.
She's a special agent for FBI.
Yeah. So she is based out of New York City, and there's a promotion that's available, and she really wants it. But her boss has some issues with her because she like doesn't get along with any of the other agents, or you know, she's always had trouble working with other people. So he's like, okay, I'm going to put you on this Boston assignment. Go down there, and if you do a good job, then, you know, we'll talk about the promotion. And the Boston assignment was all about, like, this big drug cartel thing that was going on. Mm-hmm. And she was supposed to bust, like, the head guy. Mm-hmm. So she goes down to Boston, and meanwhile, Melissa McCarthy is a cop in Boston, and she's like really rough around the edges. Definitely doesn't like go by the book at all. Like, she's always filter. Whipping out her gun. Like, she's like undercover. She looks like a biker chick. Like,
her name's Mullins in the movie.
Yeah, just very, very rough around the edges.
Not afraid of anything.
Yeah, and she's like busting this like guy that's driving like a Volvo station wagon for like trying to pick up a prostitute. And then she like goes to like the pimp, and like he's also involved in drugs. So she ends up arresting the pimp/druggie guy and takes him into the station. And she's like all about interrogating her own people, and like nobody can talk to the people that she arrests. And Sandra Bullock comes in and wants to interrogate this guy who's been recently arrested because he's, you know, part of the whole drug thing that she's trying to get a hold of. So basically, long story short, they get into a huge fight. You know, they are arguing back and forth with each other. Sandra Bullock thinks she's better than, you know, that type of thing. And I mean, the whole movie is just really them trying to bust this drug lord, and just them. It's hilarious. It was like funny the whole movie. Right. Just them like yelling at each other and being very sarcastic, and I just thought it was so funny because like Melissa McCarthy is very just like upfront and like serious when she's like saying her jokes. It was just really funny. So
yeah, there was so many funny parts, funny one-liners that I don't think were scripted.
I really don't.
I don't think you can write that. I just think it was right off the hip. You know, and one thing too, like Mason said, was Melissa McCarthy. I mean, the big reason they were trying to bring this drug lord down is because Melissa McCarthy's brother was involved somehow. You know, it's not something we want to tell you now because it's a spoiler. But he was involved with this drug lord. So that kind of hit home for Melissa McCarthy's character, and that's why she was so, you know, into it, had so much ire to try a lot of ire to bring this drug lord down. So so the movie had a lot of obviously a lot of sentimental stuff, but also a lot of funny stuff and a lot of action stuff. Like the movie is rated R because the language was very pervasive. It was very...
Especially coming from Melissa.
Yeah, and also from Sandra Bullock a little bit. You wouldn't
a little bit.
And Sandra Bullock's like so sweet and nice, and you don't see her like that. She didn't hold back as much as you would think she would. So the movie was great. It's just that the language I was a little surprised about. So much language, but it fit though. That's the thing. Some people get so offended by it. It's like, look, then just leave. Like, walk out of the theater. You just spend $9. Now you're gonna leave because you can't hear the word.
At this point in time, if it's rated R, more than likely there's going to be language.
Yeah, you can't hear the word fuck. Wow, I just said it. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. You're still watching. You haven't turned it off yet. If you have, unsubscribe. But the thing is, it's not that big of a deal. But I just wasn't. I wasn't expecting that much language.
Yeah.
But thank you for the plot. But for some of the other characters in the movie, I loved the casting. I thought, for me, there was a lot of really good people in this movie. That some were comedians, some were old school actors, some were a lot of character actors. Are always good. And just throw one right off the hip here. The guy from Back to the Future, Biff, the bad guy in Back to the Future, he was like the police chief in Boston, and his name's Tom Wilson in real life. Or Thomas F. Wilson, something like that. And he was in that just for like 5 minutes, maybe a screen time. But I appreciate it. It was just enough, just like, man, I haven't seen this guy in years. Hey, he's funny, he's cool, he had a cool part. Melissa McCarthy's brothers, which I already mentioned, Michael Rappaport, was also Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block. Like, I was telling her, I'm like, babe, I think that's Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block. She's like, I think maybe. I'm like, that's definitely him.
Yeah.
And also a really good comedian that I personally love is Bill Burr. He's a redheaded guy from Boston, and the movie was filmed in Boston, so I think they picked up a lot of people from this area that were famous in Boston. But he was really funny in it. And another guy that was more of a bad guy in the movie, which I'm not ruining anything by saying this, Michael McDonald. If you're not sure who Michael McDonald was, he was on Mad TV and he played Stewart. No, let me do it. He's that guy. He's like, no. He was that guy.
More like the blush.
Yeah, he wore a big blush and he's like, let me do it. And he was so funny in this movie, but he was a bad guy, so it's like, I can't hate you because you're so funny, but you're actually a horrible person. So it's
he was still really funny in the movie, though.
Yeah,
him and Melissa would go
Him and Melissa McCarthy, they hated each other.
Yeah.
And it was so funny watching them too, because I know they had so many outtakes, I'm sure. But that's another thing too, not to completely veer from what we're saying, but the unrated version for the Blu-ray for this movie will probably be epic. There'll be so many funny things. Yeah. And the special features with the outtakes, cannot wait. The bloopers, gag reel. But anyway, I loved him in the movie, Michael McDonald. And, he doesn't really be in a lot of movies, but he's just so funny. He's so naturally, oddly, crazily shaped looking person, but he's just like cool. I just like him. And also Taron Killian, who's kind of a new actor, but very known for like stage and comedy clubs, and he's also on Saturday Night Live. He was in that movie. He was good. And like I also said, Jane Curtin, she was the mom of Melissa McCarthy, and she had a strange role. I mean, I thought she was she was good in I Love You Man. She played like a real loving mother to Paul Rudd, but in this movie she was a lot different. I don't know if I really liked her character. I thought that. I think anyone could have played it. Like, her role was just kind of there.
It was really small.
It was a small role, but Jane Curtin's a decent actress, and I just thought she was like, I'm just making a paycheck here. So I didn't really pick her character. I don't know. I thought there could have been more to it. And when she talked about when Melissa McCarthy busted a guy for trying to pick up a prostitute, well, the guy that was trying to pick up a prostitute, which I didn't realize till when we got home, was Tony Hale. And you're probably like, who the hell is Tony Hale? Well, here's who Tony Hale is. He was Buster from Arrested Development. I was like, no shit, because I haven't seen that show in so long. I love that show. And he was Buster, the crazy whack job guy on Arrested Development. I love that cameo. Now, another cameo we saw was a woman from either from France or Russia. We weren't really sure because she lied to the cops, but her name was Tatiana in the movie. But she was Dee from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Kaylin Olsen. Rob McElhaney's wife in the show. Yeah. A wife in real life. And I was like, no shit, because I like her. I think she's naturally funny. I think she's really funny. So I loved the casting. I really thought the casting did a great job. And also, Melissa McCarthy's husband in real life, Ben Falcone.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He always has a cameo in her movies. And something about him, I just like him. He's just a really likable person. He has a kind of like a lower pitched voice, like a higher pitched voice, and he sounds kind of girly, but like he's cool though. And I like that they're like a Hollywood couple and they're like good with each other. They seem really cool and very healthy. But I love that he was in the movie, and how he was in the movie. I guess he was like a one-night stand for Melissa McCarthy's character, and Melissa McCarthy wanted nothing to do with him. It was so funny watching.
That was like the funny part of the movie, because like Sandra Bullock is like naturally pretty, and like no guys were like her, and all these guys would come up to Melissa on the street and be like, "Why haven't you called me? I've been like waiting for you to call me."
Yeah, not one guy hit on Sandra Bullock. Not one guy hit on Sandra Bullock, and I think in real life that would have been the other way around.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone wanted Melissa McCarthy. It reminded me of Will Ferrell and the other guys.
It was funny.
How all these women loved Will Ferrell, but no one loved Mark Wahlberg. It's like, it was just like, what the hell? But it's genius writing. It's funny. But if we would talk about anything else, we got to give it the ratings. So, babe, what would you give the rating of this movie from a 1 to a 5 overall? Everything. The comedy, the story, the script, everything.
I would have to say I'd give it a 5 because, I mean, I laughed like the whole way through. There was nothing that I thought was like stupid and not funny, but they were trying to be funny. You know, it wasn't like they were trying too hard. I just felt like it was just stuff they were coming up with off the top of their heads. It was hilarious. I thought the cast was great. The storyline kept me intrigued.
Right.
I just liked it overall.
Yeah, it was never boring. It was never boring.
Yeah.
It was never boring. I'm
never
big
stupid. You know how you think it's going to be a funny movie and then it's just really lame?
Yep.
It was funny, like the whole time.
Yeah,
so.
there's two different scenarios I always think about. If it's boring for a second, it's going to suck. Is movies and a date. And I definitely think that this movie wasn't boring at all. I was never like, I was never like checking my watch. I was never checking my phone. I was never shutting my eyes, never yawned. It was just a good movie, a solid movie. Unfortunately, critics always think these movies are just like brainless and don't have much atmosphere and all this other shit and cinematography. It's like, who cares though? Like, I don't need to watch Avatar 2. Like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. But this movie, I'm going with Mason. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. This is the first movie I gave a 5 out of 5 on these on our subscription channel. And I'll be honest, I thought it was great. I thought the movie was fantastic. I liked everything. The script was awesome because I'm pretty sure they didn't use the script, which I love. I love improv comedy. And, you know, I thought that was great. I thought Melissa McCarthy was just awesome in the movie. And I really think that, you know, there was the seriousness of it with the violence and the guns and the shootings and the killings and the bombs and the blowing up. Like, that was all, like, pretty real, very palpable. So I liked that part. Then the sentimental stuff, the serious stuff, I liked that because I cared. You know, I talked about World War Z about 3 weeks ago, and I said how Brad Pitt seemed emotionless with his, like, family. And I'm just like, dude, I don't really care if you make it. You know, it was just one of those things. But I cared in this movie that Melissa McCarthy ended up okay. I was hoping that Sandra Bullock would end up okay. I was hoping that Melissa McCarthy's brother would end up okay. Like, they brought you in from the screen as the audience member, and we cared. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, it was just something about it. We just really cared about the characters. So I give it a 5 out of 5. And I know most comedies never get real high acclaim, but you know what? That's got to change because these weird dramas that always are in the top 5 nominations for Best Picture can kiss my ass. I'm tired of it. It's boring. It's like I got to watch 3 hours of The King's Speech. You can kill me. But you know what? I really love this movie, and I will definitely buy the Blu-ray because I know Mason and I will watch this over and over because it was just so funny. There was not one boring part. I loved the whole movie. Is there anything else you want to say?
No.
No, anything else? I think we're good.
I just liked it.
So you need to check out The Heat, and you need to keep watching and subscribing and enjoying our videos because I hope you are. But until then, you take it easy and
bye.